At a house in Shatton, Hong Kong, a couple noticed a foul odor mixed with a strong chemical smell and began searching for the source. They suspected that the stench was coming from a house across the street and began to suspect something unusual was happening. When they decided to knock on the door of the house across the street, no one answered. As the foul smell grew increasingly unbearable, they decided to call the police. When the police arrived at the scene, they discovered an extremely bizarre crime. The victim, a 28-year-old flight attendant, had been dissolved in acid, leaving only a few body parts behind. This case was later ranked among the top 10 most mysterious cases in Hong Kong. Join Crime Documentary Files as we delve into the details of this chilling incident. The story takes place in Sha Tin, on the eastern side of New Territories. On May 12, 1989, a hot Tuesday during the summer monsoon season, the Sha Tin police received a distress call from a middle-aged couple. They reported a foul and unpleasant odor emanating from the house across the street. The couple lived in Chok Pok Hang village, located in the southern part of Sha Tin. This village, with a history of over 200 years, is near the Hong Kong Scout Association and the Sha Tin Scout Center. They mentioned that the house across the street, number 33 in Chok Pok Hang village, had recently seen strangers coming and going, playing loud music, and causing various disturbances that affected the other neighbors. Over the past few days, the house even emitted a foul odor. When they went to knock on the door, a man and a woman, appearing dazed and sluggish, answered. When asked about the foul smell in the house, the couple awkwardly responded that an animal had just died and they would handle it promptly. The couple suspected that the strange odors were due to drug use or manufacturing inside the house. The police immediately dispatched officers to house number 33 in Chok Pok Hang village to investigate. At that time, the area was known for being quite problematic, with frequent criminal activities, including hostage-taking, counterfeiting, and even murder. House number 33, a three-story building designed in a Spanish architectural style, was indeed the source of the foul smell reported by the couple. The police proceeded to the second floor and knocked on the door. It was answered by a man and a woman who appeared exhausted, their spirits seemingly diminished as if they were under the influence of drugs. The man was identified as Huang Dai Wei, 33 years old, and the woman as Yu Mu Ling, 27 years old, lovers. After announcing their intent to investigate, the officers entered the apartment and discovered several packets of cocaine on the living room coffee table, prompting them to immediately detain the couple. Upon searching the entire apartment and learning that Huang Dai Wei had also rented the third floor, they moved upstairs. As they opened the door to the third floor room, a sharp, nauseating stench hit them. After investigating further, they traced the foul odor to the bathroom, where a large metal drum was placed in the bathtub. The drum's lid had ventilation holes, and the stench continuously emanated from there. The smell was so overpowering that the investigators struggled to breathe and were forced to temporarily retreat. One officer, covering his mouth and nose, asked Huang Dai Wei and Yu Mu Ling about the contents of the metal drum. Both stood in silence, bewildered, offering no response. The investigators approached and opened the drum's lid, only to make a horrifying discovery. Inside was the severely decomposed body of a woman. The drum contained an unidentified yellow liquid, and the head had detached from the body, floating to one side, while the upper torso was corroded and riddled with holes, creating a ghastly sight that left the investigators shaken. They had never encountered anything so horrific. The investigation team immediately notified their superiors of the situation, and a backup police unit quickly arrived on the scene. Based on the decomposition of the body and the odor, it was determined that the liquid in the drum was highly corrosive. The killer had clearly intended to destroy the body and erase any traces. In the bathroom, the police found several glass bottles containing chemicals and some empty air freshener cans. Upon testing, the corrosive liquid in the drum was identified as industrial-grade hydrochloric acid. Forensic technicians discovered Yu Mu Ling's fingerprints on the toolboxes and air freshener cans. Based on the evidence found at the scene, the police promptly arrested Huang Dai Wei and Yu Mu Ling on suspicion of murder. The following day, May 13, 1989, Forensic examination results revealed a gel-like substance on the victim's body, which adhered tightly to the skin and bones, with some parts of the body already dissolved. However, most of the teeth remained intact and were not corroded. Near the left ear on the skull was a 5.3-inch long fracture, with 3 small bone fragments embedded in the crack. The nature of the penetrating wound indicated it was not caused by a bare-handed blow. The forensic experts speculated that the victim had been struck with a blunt object, such as a hammer, or had fallen from a height of at least 33 feet, which could have caused such a deep wound. Due to the severe decomposition of the victim's body, it was impossible to determine the exact cause and time of death. However, if the injury occurred while the victim was still alive, it could likely be the primary cause of death. Based on the discovery of the body on May 12th, it is speculated that the victim died sometime between April 28th and May 5th, approximately 2 weeks before being found. Since their arrest, Huang Dai Wei and Yumu Ling have remained silent about the victim's identity, forcing the police to begin reviewing missing person reports. 3 days later, on May 15, 1989, the police found a lead. A week before the decomposed body was discovered, a woman in Kowloon City, located 5.6 miles south of Sha Tin, reported that her roommate had left home before dawn and had not been seen since. The time she left was 5 a.m. on May 6, 1989. The police had already begun an investigation, but had not been able to locate her. The missing person was identified as Huang Zhi Jun, a 28-year-old flight attendant working for Cathay Pacific Airways. She and her family had previously lived in Aberdeen, on the southern side of Hong Kong Island. For convenience in her job, Huang Zhi Jun had moved in with a friend in Kowloon City, closer to the Kai Tak airport where she worked. After comparing dental records, the police confirmed that the victim found in Chok Pokhang village was indeed the missing person, Huang Zhi Jun. According to her work schedule, she was supposed to fly out of the country on May 6th. However, 2 hours before her flight, she suddenly called in sick for 4 days, citing that she wasn't feeling well. 4 days later, she still hadn't reported back to work and couldn't be reached by phone. The airline then contacted her roommate, who informed them that she had gone missing. According to her roommate's account, in the early morning hours of May 6th, both she and Huang Zhi Jun were at home. At that time, most of the building's residents were still asleep. Suddenly, the house phone rang. After a brief conversation, Huang Zhi Jun changed her clothes and prepared to leave. The phone's ringing had also woken me up, and I couldn't fall back asleep, so I opened my bedroom door to see what was happening. I saw Huang Zhi Jun putting on her shoes. When she saw me, she said, "I need to step out for a bit," and hurried out the door. After that, I couldn't get in touch with her. Huang Zhi Jun's family also had no idea where she had gone. Huang Zhi Jun had a boyfriend, and that boyfriend was none other than Huang Dai Wei. Her roommate mentioned that Huang Zhi Jun seemed to be having conflicts with her boyfriend lately, which made her very sad and irritable. I was worried that my friend might do something drastic, so I contacted the police for help. Unfortunately, what I feared most came true. Huang Zhi Jun left and never returned. According to the investigation, Huang Zhi Jun and Huang Dai Wei met through mutual friends. In fact, Huang Dai Wei had a rather unique background. He was a Chinese immigrant living in the United States, having studied and lived there since he was a child. He only moved to Hong Kong as an adult. His father was a wealthy businessman, and his mother was a high-end fashion designer. When he turned 30, both his parents passed away from illness, leaving him a vast fortune. To the outside world, he appeared to be from a wealthy family, generous, humorous, and often wore gold-rimmed glasses with a handsome appearance. However, in reality, he never held a serious job and lived a directionless life on his inheritance. Additionally, he was addicted to drugs and gambling. In less than 6 months after his father's death, he squandered the entire fortune, sold his parents' house, and rented the house where the crime took place. He was a master manipulator, skilled in psychological manipulation, and knew how to disguise himself very cleverly. At first, he portrayed himself as a refined gentleman, then actively mingled with his targets, impressing them with a glamorous image, complete with designer clothes and luxury cars, though all of it was rented. He maintained multiple secret relationships, shopping, dining, and even living with women as if they were married, but his ultimate goal was to drain them of money to fund his drug habit and pay off gambling debts. Huang Zhi Jun was the only girlfriend he knew with a significantly high income and who could bring substantial benefits to him. He used his wealthy background and polished gentleman persona to deceive and exploit young, naive women for both love and money. Even when they discovered that he was broke, many women were still drawn to his skillful charm. Before the incident, Huang Dai Wei had been dating at least 2 women simultaneously, and Huang Zhi Jun was one of them. The first time Huang Zhi Jun met Huang Dai Wei, she was deeply attracted to him. She was impressed by his fluent English, his U.S. passport, and his captivating presence. On top of that, he drove a luxury car that left a strong impression. After dating for a while, they officially entered into a romantic relationship. At first, their love was sweet, and they even referred to each other as husband and wife in front of others. However, Huang Zhi Jun soon discovered that Huang Dai Wei would frequently disappear mysteriously, sometimes for over a month, with no way to contact him. After some investigation, she was shocked to find out that her boyfriend had another residence at 33 Chokpok Hang Village in Sha Tin. Gradually, she realized that she had been deceived. While it was true that Huang Dai Wei had American citizenship, everything else about him was fabricated, and he had even been married before. What troubled her the most was discovering that he had many bad habits and spent at least 1,300 Hong Kong dollars a day on drugs. Despite this, Huang Zhi Jun remained blindly forgiving of his vices because she was deeply in love with him. To support his daily expenses, she regularly gave him the hard-earned money she made, and this went on for a long time. Until one day, she was heartbroken to learn that he was using her absences during international work trips to live with another young woman. That woman was Yu Mu Ling, the same person who was arrested along with Huang Dai Wei. Throughout her relationship with Huang Dai Wei, Huang Zhi Jun sacrificed a lot, even overlooking his constant infidelity, in the hope that one day he would come to his senses and change. But her deep love and tolerance only made Huang Dai Wei more reckless. He only thought of Huang Zhi Jun when he ran out of money. To continue getting money from her, he repeatedly promised to stop seeing Yu Mu Ling, but he never changed his ways. As time passed, Huang Zhi Jun lost all hope in Huang Dai Wei and decided to wait for the right moment to end the relationship. 6 months before the crime occurred, in December 1988, while preparing for a flight to the UK, Huang Zhi Jun decided to break up with Huang Dai Wei. Fearing that a face-to-face meeting might make her change her mind, she wrote him a breakup letter. Huang Zhi Jun had once given everything for Huang Dai Wei, only to be met with bitter lies. But what's astonishing is that, despite Huang Dai Wei's shameless behavior, Huang Zhi Jun neither blamed nor resented him. In fact, in her letter, she even apologized to him, saying, "I can't bring you happiness. I hope that after we part, we can still be friends. As for the 50,000 Hong Kong dollars you borrowed from me during our relationship, I won't ask for it back." Upon receiving the letter, Huang Dai Wei refused to accept the breakup. He saw Huang Zhi Jun as an ATM, a source of endless money. How could he let go so easily? At the time, Huang Dai Wei was renting a luxury car for $60,000 USD, on top of expenses like rent and drug use. Without someone to fund his lifestyle, he would never be able to cover these costs. After receiving the breakup letter, Huang Dai Wei knew that Huang Zhi Jun was only using this to pressure him to sever ties with Yu Mu Ling. So, he pretended to give in and promised Huang Zhi Jun that he would break up with Yu Mu Ling. As expected, his stalling tactic worked. He easily won back Huang Zhi Jun's forgiveness. However, her constant forgiveness ultimately led her to a bottomless pit. At 5:00 a.m. on May 6, 1989, Huang Zhi Jun received a mysterious call and left her home to go to Huang Dai Wei's residence at 33 Chokpok Hang Village. In the second-floor room, she encountered Huang Dai Wei's new girlfriend, Yu Mu Ling. The two rivals immediately clashed and got into a heated argument. Then, they began to fight. A resident living across from the crime scene reported that early that morning, he heard two women arguing fiercely. Then, a man's voice was heard, seemingly trying to intervene. However, it was clear from his tone that he was deliberately siding with one of the women. The argument lasted over 10 minutes before it finally ended. Piecing together the clues collected, it became clear that Huang Zhi Jun's death was closely connected to Huang Dai Wei and Yu Mu Ling. What surprised the police was that before they could even begin questioning, Huang Dai Wei confessed to all his crimes. He admitted, "Yes, I killed Huang Zhi Jun, and I had an accomplice, my current girlfriend, Yu Mu Ling, who is 27 years old." Upon learning of Huang Dai Wei's confession, Yu Mu Ling also admitted to her role in killing Huang Zhi Jun. Based on their statements, the events on the day of the crime were brought to light. Like Huang Zhi Jun, Yu Mu Ling was deeply in love with Huang Dai Wei. When she discovered that her boyfriend was involved with another woman, her jealousy drove her to lose control. Yu Mu Ling couldn't stand the idea of sharing her lover with someone else. Therefore, in the early hours of May 6th, the day of the murder, she made a provocative phone call to Huang Zhi Jun. Enraged by the call, Huang Zhi Jun quickly dressed, hailed a taxi, and went to Huang Dai Wei's house. Although Huang Zhi Jun and Yu Mu Ling knew about each other's existence, they had never met before. This was their first encounter, and the argument quickly escalated. The two argued fiercely, neither willing to back down. Eventually, the argument turned violent, and the noise woke several neighbors. Seeing the situation, Huang Dai Wei tried to intervene and resolve the conflict between the two women, but in the end, he chose Yu Mu Ling and broke up with Huang Zhi Jun. After hearing those harsh words, Huang Zhi Jun suddenly launched a furious attack on Yu Mu Ling. Faced with Huang Zhi Jun's aggression, Huang Dai Wei and Yu Mu Ling teamed up to kill her right there in the house. To dispose of the body and erase any evidence, they stripped Huang Zhi Jun, decapitated her, placed her remains in a metal drum, and poured a large amount of chemical solvent over her body. However, for reasons unknown, Huang Dai Wei later retracted his initial confession. He admitted to his romantic relationship with the victim, Huang Zhi Jun, and also acknowledged his affair with Yu Mu Ling. However, on the day of the crime, he claimed that he did not participate in the murder of Huang Zhi Jun, and therefore did not know how she died. Huang Dai Wei speculated, "Huang Zhi Jun came to my house and encountered Yu Mu Ling, which led to a struggle. Yu Mu Ling accidentally killed her. At the time of the incident, I was not present at the scene, and I only found out what happened after I returned home. At Yu Mu Ling's request, I helped her dispose of Huang Zhi Jun's body." Yu Mu Ling later retracted her confession and insisted that it was Huang Dai Wei who killed Huang Zhi Jun. She stated, "He threatened me, saying that if I didn't help him dispose of the body, he would harm me and my family. Out of fear and under threat, I was forced to follow his instructions. We bought chemicals and deodorants, and then together, we disposed of Huang Zhi Jun's body." The couple's conflicting accounts made the truth of the case difficult to ascertain. However, it is certain that after Huang Zhi Jun's death, both tried to cover up the crime. According to the initial investigation, on the day of the murder, Huang Zhi Jun was supposed to be at work, but she had taken 4 days off, claiming to be sick, which was highly unusual. It is very likely that the sick leave request was not written by Huang Zhi Jun herself, but was forged by either Huang Dai Wei or Yu Mu Ling. The investigation also revealed that between May 6th and May 10th, Huang Zhi Jun's credit cards were used multiple times, including a transaction of 40,000 Hong Kong dollars to purchase gold. Handwriting experts determined that the signature on the jewelry store receipt did not match Huang Zhi Jun's handwriting. The salesperson at the jewelry store reported that the person who purchased the gold was a woman. When the police showed her a photo of the suspect, Yu Mu Ling, she confirmed that it was indeed Yu Mu Ling who bought the gold. On May 8th, a flower shop received a call from a woman claiming to be Huang Zhi Jun, placing an order for flowers. Later, Huang Zhi Jun's sister confirmed that she had received the flowers that day. However, by May 8th, Huang Zhi Jun had already been killed, making it impossible for her to have sent the flowers herself. All of these actions were orchestrated by Huang Dai Wei and Yu Mu Ling to deceive others into believing that Huang Zhi Jun was still alive. A year after the incident, on July 27, 1990, the case went to trial at the Hong Kong High Court. Huang Dai Wei and Yu Muling were charged with 2 crimes: murder and preventing the lawful burial of a body. In court, both pleaded not guilty to murder, but admitted to preventing the lawful burial of a body. Huang Dai Wei claimed he had no involvement in the crime, stating that the victim, Huang Zhi Jun, had a key to his house and could come and go as she pleased. He also asserted, "I don't know how Huang Zhi Jun died in my home." Yu Muling testified that on the morning of the crime, she was playing cards with Huang Dai Wei and Huang Zhi Jun at the crime scene. Later, Huang Dai Wei and Huang Zhi Jun went into the bedroom to use drugs while she stayed in the living room watching TV. A while later, she went into the bedroom to look for Huang Dai Wei and found Huang Zhi Jun lying motionless on the bed. Realizing something was wrong, she urged Huang Dai Wei to call for help, but he refused. He even warned me that if I dared to tell anyone about this, he would kill me. Out of fear and under threat, I felt I had no choice but to follow his instructions to dispose of Huang Zhi Jun's body. At that time, since Hong Kong had not yet abolished the death penalty, if convicted, they could have faced the maximum penalty of death. After 19 days of trial, on August 15, 1990, the jury reached a unanimous verdict, finding both defendants guilty. The Hong Kong High Court convicted Huang Dai Wei and Yu Muling of murder and preventing the lawful burial of a body. Both charges were upheld, and they were sentenced to death. Following the trial, Huang Dai Wei and Yu Muling refused to accept the verdict and appealed. On March 2, 1993, nearly 4 years after the incident, the Hong Kong High Court held a retrial. During this retrial, both Huang Dai Wei and Yu Muling denied the murder charges. The jury, composed of 6 men and 1 woman, heard the case. The prosecution argued, the 2 defendants and the victim were involved in a complicated romantic relationship. The murder of Huang Zhi Jun was likely motivated by one of the defendants, wanting to escape this complex relationship and taking the opportunity to eliminate her to fund their drug addiction. Furthermore, both defendants had a history of drug addiction and had spent substantial amounts of money on drugs. By the time the defendants were arrested, the balance on Huang Zhi Jun's credit cards was nearly depleted. During the retrial, an unexpected twist occurred when Yu Muling suddenly recanted her previous testimony and took full responsibility for the crime. She testified that on the day of the incident, she and Huang Zhi Jun got into a dispute, which escalated into a physical confrontation. In an act of self-defense, she claimed to have struck Huang Zhi Jun with a hammer, unintentionally killing her. She insisted that she acted alone and that Huang Dai Wei had no involvement. After 29 days of proceedings on March 31, 1993, the jury reached a consensus. The court acquitted both Huang Dai Wei and Yu Muling of murder. However, Yu Muling was found guilty of manslaughter. Given that Huang Dai Wei's time in custody had already exceeded the maximum sentence for the charge of preventing the lawful burial of a body, he was released on the spot. Yu Muling, convicted of manslaughter, was sentenced to 5 years in prison and was released the following year in 1994. Yu Muling's change in testimony during the retrial dramatically altered the outcome of the case. The case, fraught with perplexing details, has remained a source of public controversy and debate to this day. There's also one more detail worth mentioning. Another woman was involved in this already tangled love triangle. Her name was Sally, a Christian social worker who provided psychological counseling to prisoners. No one could have predicted that she would fall in love with Huang Dai Wei, an inmate she met while he was in prison. During his time in custody awaiting trial, Huang Dai Wei successfully won Sally's heart, and they were married in prison in a ceremony officiated by a pastor. During the retrial, Sally, who was present in the courtroom, unexpectedly rushed forward, fell to her knees, and tearfully pleaded, "If my husband is a murderer, I would rather die on the spot. My husband has been wrongly accused and must be exonerated." Her emotional outbursts sparked intense discussions, with many people amazed at the extraordinary charm and influence Huang Dai Wei seemed to possess. Going back to the beginning of their relationship, Sally had initially provided psychological counseling to Yu Muling when she was in prison, struggling with depression and self-harm. Before this, Sally had written numerous letters to Huang Dai Wei, but had received no response. She believed she was facing the death penalty and didn't want to leave this world without making peace with the man she loved. She confided, "He must truly hate me." Meanwhile, Huang Dai Wei's heartfelt words deeply moved Sally, evoking her sympathy and compassion. As a Christian social worker, she felt a strong desire to save this troubled soul. As a result, they frequently spoke in the visitation room. Over time, Sally grew increasingly convinced that Huang Dai Wei couldn't be the killer. He seemed to her like a simple and loving man. She sensed that he had deep feelings for his deceased girlfriend and was full of remorse, repenting in prison. Sally genuinely believed in Huang Dai Wei's innocence and fell in love with him from the bottom of her heart. However, Huang Dai Wei and Sally did not stay together for life. They divorced in 1998. After the crime occurred in 1990, the house at 33 Tsok Pak Hang village where the murder took place was rented by a missionary and his pregnant wife. The couple lived there, but always felt an overwhelming sense of dullness. Although they prayed daily, they couldn't shake the psychological discomfort that seemed to hang over the house. When they accidentally learned that the house they were renting had been the scene of a murder, they moved out the same day. Later, they shared with friends that while nothing strange had happened during their time living there, the house inexplicably filled them with an overwhelming sense of sadness and discomfort. The residents on the ground floor reported that ever since the murder, strange occurrences have been happening repeatedly. Their windows mysteriously open on their own. Even after locking the door before going to bed, they would find it wide open the next morning. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, they would hear eerie noises and unsettling groans. This case has also been adapted into 2 films. One of these films is Remains of a Woman, 1993, which depicts the complicated and emotional entanglements between a man and 3 women. The other, Legal Innocence, 1993, is more famous and focuses on the courtroom drama of the trial. There were rumors that when Legal Innocence was being filmed, Huang Dai Wei had already been released from prison. He allegedly offered to provide the director with details about the case, but was turned down. After the film's release, Huang Dai Wei was dissatisfied, claiming that although the court had declared him innocent, the film still subtly suggested his guilt. He filed a lawsuit against the production company, sparking controversy and causing the film to be temporarily pulled from circulation. Although this case has gradually faded from public memory, many people in Hong Kong still cannot forget the mysterious and bizarre murder that once took place in the village. Love is a strange and elusive thing. It can bring extraordinary happiness, but it can also lead to incomprehensible tragedies. That's all for today's video. What do you think? Who was the real culprit in this case? Was the court's verdict just? Share your thoughts with us. Goodbye, and see you next time.